Next, we wanted to dive into some commonly asked questions around sustainability in real estate. So two that stood out the most were the following. First, are the requirements set out by traditional green building certifications attainable for the majority of real estate? And second, if not, how else can real estate strive towards a collective global transition to a more sustainable future?
Well, they're very good questions, and questions that have come up numerous times at various conferences, panel discussion type talks, etc.
But client calls.
And client calls, yeah, 100%. But as Alexi is our head of sustainability and standards, I'll let him answer.
Thanks, James. Basically, it's widely accepted that only around 3% of real estate has a green building certification, which is so minimal. The common perspective is generally that traditional green building certifications only focus on the centrally located office developments even, that make up only a tiny fraction of our built environment and cities. But at ModeScore, we're believing that every building can be a bit better. Every building can have improvements across the entire portfolio, which collective impact will make much bigger positive impact sustainably than any single outstanding building.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, take prime example of the City of London behind us, right? Within a square mile, you will identify some of the world's most iconic new developments, and these have been recognised for their excellence by all the leading certifications globally, and rightly so. However, what often gets overlooked is all the existing buildings stood in the shadows of these glass towers, right? So can they not be considered sustainable? Can they not receive recognition for their efforts? We believe that they can, and through ModeScore, they will.
So we're kind of touching on there the other green building certifications, and it's worth considering ModeScore within this sort of world. GRESB is one of the certifications that we currently align with, where ModeScore will form part of the design and operational certifications that they recommend, which means you can achieve marks through pursuing ModeScore, and that will be accredited to your GRESB scores. This was something that was well received last year, if you remember the boom we had at the end of 2023, where many assets, many clients undertook kind of a portfolio-wide approach, and these were not just the elite buildings that Alex has mentioned. So this included office and commercial real estate, but it also included industrial, leisure, retail, education, the kind of leftovers, you might put it.
If I remember rightly, we had very few new developments in the last sort of 3 months. It was all existing, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
Various asset types.
The average score was lower as well, which we were seeing as a positive, because it's basically they were using this as a impetus, a beginning kind of. They were going to go through the certification to improve.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
It's quite important to state the fact that these clients were quite surprised that these asset types could be good candidates for a green building certification. They were almost written off in their view, within their fund, within their portfolio. Those asset types were written off when it comes to green building credentials or certifications. So suddenly when they were on calls with us and we said that no, sustainable transportation is something that can be improved in any asset type, suddenly that it opened up almost like a doorway to all these other asset types which otherwise would be not the candidates for green building certifications or any additional credits through GRESB.
And it's worth mentioning some of those clients included the likes of Savills and CBRE.
Yeah.
So they have hundreds, thousands of buildings. So this is just a small impact.
And a percentage, how many of them are existing in that type versus the flagship buildings.
Absolutely.
It will always outweigh, the quantity of those asset types will always outweigh those flagship individual buildings.
So it's also worth mentioning our alignment with WELL. So through the certification of Active Score, you can achieve all of the marks for WELL if you achieve a gold in Active Score. So that's further benefit of streamlining the process between certifications. We also benchmark and align with other primary certifications like WELL, LEED, Fitwell, BREEAM, and the list kind of goes on there. This is done to, again, streamline the process to make sure that consultants are advising on the same standards rather than having to meet new targets for everything.